Please like my videos, please subscribe to my channel, and please press the bell icon so that you get to know when my latest video has come. And to learn more and to find a video relevant to you, please do check out my videos list.
Hello, Namaskar and Adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. Our wishes and our desires are very important for us, and many a times our wishes don't get fulfilled and our desires leave more room to be accepted by the Supreme Energy, by the Supreme Lord. Now, we do know people who we feel their wishes and desires come true faster and more regularly than ours, and sometimes we are the ones, or maybe somebody in the family is the one, where the moment they utter something, it seems that their wishes and desires have been heard by the Supreme Energy itself, and their wishes and desires come true. That wish or that desire could be as simple as wanting a certain meal, or you're thinking about something and the thing coming to you by virtue of family member buying, or it coming as a gift, or somebody making and sharing that with you, and then you realize that I was just thinking about this particular thing in this morning and I got this in the afternoon or this evening. Or you think about somebody and they call you. So why is it that sometimes this can also be called deja vu? But deja vu is about where a wish and desire in terms of material things is less, but in terms of remembrance of somebody calling you is more. So what are the wishes and desires where your wishes and desires come true in a material world or even at a relationship level? And how do they come about? How do we ascertain that? Through a quick and easy way, by just looking at the horoscope and through a quick glance. So firstly, what is the house which is the house of wishes and desires? Now in the horoscope we have the three karma bhavas. What are the three karma bhavas? One is the third house, the other is the seventh house, and the third is the 11th house. All these three are the karma bhavas, or the bhavas or the houses of our wishes, our desires. However, the third house has effort associated with it, our communication skills associated with, our marketing and branding associated with it, which means that the harder you work, your wishes and desires can be fulfilled. So at a hard work, at an effort level, or how you are able to project yourself, your wishes and desires will come true accordingly through the third house. The seventh house is also karma bhava, and there are certain wishes and desires which get associated with the seventh house. The seventh house constitutes the wishes and desires more in terms of relationships and partnerships. This partnership can either be through a marital union where you are in a committed relationship with somebody, or the desire could also be to do business and to do well in a partnership. However, the biggest manifestation of our wishes and our desires comes through the third karma bhav, which is the 11th house. Why is the 11th house the most important house for our wishes and desires? It is because the 11th house is the 11th to the lagna itself. So lagna constitutes our entire existence, and so 11th to the lagna means most of our wishes and desires get associated with the 11th house, the 11th house being 11th to the lagna, and so it has special meaning. Second, the 11th house is the second to the karma bhava, which is the 10th house, which means unless your karma is true, the 11th house, which is the gains of the karma or the earning of the karma. What is the second house? The second house to any house is the earning of that house. So the second house to the lagna is the earning or the livelihood for that person. Similarly, the earning of the 11th house comes from what karma you have done in the 10th house, and so the 11th house becomes an important house of our wishes and desires coming true. So if 11th house is the most important house which constitutes our wishes and desires coming true, then the placement in the 11th house and the placement of the 11th house and the yogas associated with the 11th house become very, very important. So if you need to know whether your wishes and desires can come true and how they can come true and when they can come true, first you need to see is the strength of the 11th house itself, and whether the 11th house is strong enough so that your wishes and desires can truly manifest themselves. And if the 11th house lord is also very, very strongly placed, then you have a very high chance that your wishes and desires can come true. And if there are planets placed in the 11th house, then the ownership or the rulership of the houses that those planets rule will also tell you where your wishes and desires can be fulfilled from. Now, first thing first, wherever the 11th house lord is placed, you can be sure that it is the wishes and desires are getting associated with that house. So for example, if your 11th lord is placed in the 4th house, then your wishes and desires about the 4th house can come true, and related to the 4th house can come true, or doing something related to the 4th house can come true. So if your wishes and desires house lord 11 goes into the 4th house, that means your wishes and desires of a certain property, doing up the house, domestic peace and mental happiness, all that can come true. Now, how far that 11th lord is placed from itself will also manifest its meaning. For example, 11th lord in the 4th house means it is placed 6th from itself, and 6th from itself means you need to serve. So unless you serve in the domestic environment, your wishes and desires will not come true with the 11th lord placed in the 4th house, for example. So unless you serve in the house, you serve your mother, and that's why serving the mother is supposed to be so very important. In Islam, it is said that heaven lies below the feet of the mother. In the Hindu culture also, mother is seen as one of the epitomes of service and somebody who can bring you great goodness, and the nurturing of the mother is seen as the highest, and hence the goddesses are attached with this suffix of Ma. So Devi Ma or any Parvati Ma, any goddess will have a Ma associated with it, because the mother is associated with deitiness or divinity. So serving the 4th house starts with serving the mother, then serving the household, whoever you have as dependents. So serving the spouse, who also form the grahastha ashram, serving the children, serving the servants who are working under you, which means taking care of them, nurturing them, because the 4th house is also the house of nurturing. And through that your wishes and desires come through, and not just by wishing something. In the Lagna, the wishes and desires come through if the 11th lord is placed in the Lagna, which means your efforts have a higher manifestation of your wishes and desires. So when you put in the effort, then your wishes and desires, general wishes and desires can come true, because the Lagna is of general things, and especially of stature and status in society, your dignity in society. Your health also can be good if your 11th lord is going into the 1st house in the Lagna. If the 11th house goes into the 5th house, then now the 11th house lord is 7th to itself, which means that 5th house is also the house of speculation, speculative investments and taking risks, which means that your wishes and desires can come true by taking some risks and not hesitating when those risks have to be taken. Your wishes and desires can also come fulfilled through investing in stocks or any investment that you do. However, because it is 7th to itself, it also means that you need to take care of others, people who are coming in your life. And your wishes and desires related to children may also come true. Your wishes and desires through the initial education may also come through. But the biggest house where your wishes and desires can come through as gains comes from the 7th house, because the 7th house is the 9th house to the 11th house. And the 11th house is also the house of social network, your societal gains. And the 7th house is also the house of all others apart from your committed partner whom you are in the relationship with. And because the 7th house also constitutes everybody else or who you meet on a daily basis, whereas the 11th house is everybody else, the social masses, which means that your wishes and desires of meeting people on a day-to-day and gaining from them comes very, very high if the 11th house lord is very, very strongly placed in the 7th house. So here it means that the more better you have relationship with others, how better you deal with others, how better you interact with others, and through a win-win relationship with others, your wishes and desires can come true. And the 9th house itself, the 9th house is the 11th house to the 11th house, which means your wishes and desires can come truly can truly manifest themselves through higher learning and through higher experiences. And that's why the ninth house is also considered the highest house of gains. The reason being is the ninth house is not just the house of learning, but what learning you get through your experiences. These experiences are life experiences, not just higher education or getting degrees in universities. The most important attribute of the ninth house is how you have got learning through your experiences and imbibe them and absorb them as part of your ethics and your culture and your values and how you live those values. And that's why the ninth house is also the house of moral ethics and moral values. And so if the life experiences have taught you something and you have imbibed that higher learning, then your wishes and desires of the 11th house will come through how you manifest those experiences through your higher learning and through your wisdom. So the placement of the 11th house lord in the 9th house is very, very powerful placement of where your wishes and desires can come true. Here the wishes and desires can also come true not through just higher learning and higher education, but also traveling abroad or working with people from different cultures, which also the 9th house represents, and through your gurus and even your father. So this is a strong placement of working with gurus or working with father and taking the blessings of father and guru to manifest greater earnings. And last but not the least, the placement of the 10th house lord in the 11th house and vice versa. Here your wishes and desires are very, very strongly getting connected to your karma. And if the 11th house lord goes into the 10th house, which is 12 to itself, which also means that unless you do your karma and pay off the karmic debt, your wishes and desires will not come true. So it's a very, very karmic placement. Now I have not talked about 11th house lord in every house, which I have already done in a separate video, because it has greater manifestation. Here, because we are talking about only wishes and desires, so I am talking about only those things which can bring your wishes and desires coming true, rather than challenges which can come through. For example, even 11th house lord going into the 8th house, where it is 10th from itself. There work needs to be put in for wishes and desires, but there will also be obstacles. There will also be upheavals. So I am refraining from those houses which can also bring challenges and upheavals and impediments to your wishes and desires fulfillment. I am talking more in terms of which placements can give you higher chance, high manifestation of your wishes and desires coming true. And if planets are placed from other houses into the 11th house, then wishes and desires are coming true through those houses. If 5th house lord is going into the 11th house, then your wishes and desires can come through your children, through education, through your speculative investments, through changes and upheavals in your job also, because the 5th house is the 8th house to the 10th house. So friends, you may have your own wishes and desires. I'm sure each one of us has something important in the life which is currently going on, and we have something for our lives also. So if you have something which you truly want to manifest and want that to come true, look into your current placement, look into your dasha, look at the yogas which are associated with in the 11th house or through the 11th house, or the planets placed in the 11th house, and then see where they are pointing, where your wishes and desires can truly manifest from and strongest, and make use of those placements, make use of those yogas, and get your wishes manifested accordingly. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation for me, please reach out to me, the links below. And till some other time with some other video, this is the friend astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.